All right, another video.
Yay.
All right, another conversation that we have on a regular basis.
Yes.
This is not new.
Yeah.
Okay. However, it usually gets more sparked up the more encounters or negative encounters we have regarding this issue we want to bring up. It just sparks up. We want to bring it up again.
This will help relationship, marriage relationship, friendships,
Any kind of relationship. Any kind of relationship. So, the art of communication. Oh my yeah.
It's so important.
Oh my God. This is so important. All right. In a nutshell, get off of social media, get away from texting, and start getting back to face-to-face communication, or at least talking over the phone. Okay, that's a summary.
In person is best.
Yeah, in person is the ultimate best. That's how Yahuwah created it, guys, ladies. But that's the summary of this video. But we want to talk in depth about it. Where do we want to begin? Because I like to freestyle. So
where does this come from? It comes from the aspect of conflict resolution. That's
offenses rising.
Yeah, offenses rising, or there's some type of conflict,
a debate, a disagreement.
Yeah, so it might not even have built up to an offense. It could just be a disagreement, right. And how do you go through with it? And obviously, a lot of what we're talking about is between brothers and sisters. But again, this is stuff that we talk about between, marriages and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess we could talk about when.
Let's talk about the state of the body of Messiah. And how we're utilizing social media and our cell phones. Okay? Let's talk about brother, sister in Messiah, brother and sister in the faith, and how we're interacting with one another using technology. Let's talk about that.
Okay. I think we're utilizing it. Now, I speak as one. I'm not going to get to actually. I think it's being overutilized. And this is what I mean. Behind this screen time, right? One, we have this reality that we're scattered, okay? So what social media has allowed us to do is find each other, whether it's through platforms like Facebook, YouTube.
You have some crazy folk on your Facebook page, I guarantee it.
Guarantee. Zoom, Skype, Marco Polo, WhatsApp. There's all these different venues that can be very, very, very good and helpful to get together. Emailing, you know what I'm saying? When you're first learning someone, emailing or texting and stuff like that. I'm talking about we have those typing, and
Great.
Sometimes you have those audibles where it does allow that edification to come through. Mm-hmm. It does allow that bonding to build, right?
Yes.
Because many of us are not physically around our brothers and sisters, unfortunately. We're in different states, different countries, different time zones.
Yeah.
Have our own lives and stuff like that. So when we find each other, it's like, yes. But then what do we do with it? Because many of us have had seasons of isolation, right? Where we're just going through this quote unquote, a lot of us talk about like this wilderness experience where it's just Yahuwah and us, and we're just getting all this information. Mm-hmm. And now we're put into this new world again of, I have to deal with my brothers and sisters. But behind the scenes, I have my own personality. They have their own. I have my own background history of what I've gone through my life. They have their own. I have my own convictions. They have their own. I have my own stances and doctrines. They have their own. And so now we're coming together with this commonality of Yahuwah, Yahusha, believers in Messiah, believers in obeying the commands. But we still have different perceptions. We still have different
Some use Yeshua. Some use Yahshua. Some say Yahushua, Yahawashah. All these different things that are out there.
And so each one of us have a different level of conviction. Some are more like, you know what, as long as you're seeking, I'm fine. As long as I'm able to present you information, otherwise I'm fine. Or if you're not pronouncing it the exact same way, or you don't believe exactly as I believe, then there's no fellowship. But let's talk about when we've kind of gotten past that and we're in. Oh no, you still want to stick with technology.
But let's pick a concept. How it starts off. What's the beginning of the art of communication, or the lack of the art of communication, or poor art, I should say. Let's go from a beginning point and how it escalates and gets out of control and how it can be prevented.
Okay, I think from our point, from our little bubble of experience, a lot starts through emails with us because we're on YouTube. My husband definitely, posts out the information and stuff like that. If people want to join or want to listen, whatever like that. So our first point of communication usually comes through email. Okay.
Or you go to my website, Devoted to Yah, at devotedtoyah.wordpress.com. Mm-hmm. I have my phone number. I have a Google phone number that's on there. Mm-hmm. You can leave a voicemail. You can text me at that number. Or I'll pick up the phone and we can talk to each other. Or you can email me. Those are the first ways to get in touch with me.
Now, for us, it's a little bit different because we are in protection mode of the fellowship, right? So we'll send out links. Most of you guys already know. If you want to join, we send out links so that you're watching certain videos, specifically how to thrive in fellowship or hurtful righteous words. There's a certain list we give to people.
Are my beliefs.
Yeah.
You'll watch a video on what are my core beliefs. Okay, it gives a list, not an extensive list, but a pretty decent list. And if you're okay with that, you go to the next videos series, which is how to thrive in fellowship. And we talk about how to deal with offenses. Okay?
Like scripture. Like I try to go through a lot of scripture with that.
Yeah.
But so that first communication for us tends to be email, text, or like a voicemail or something. And then it goes to the phone conversation. And this is just literally... You're just learning someone, right? So, like,
tell me what you thought about the video. Yeah. What did you think about the videos you saw? Do you have any questions? Do you have any concerns? Is there anything we need to go over scripture more with? Things like that.
Or people join on Facebook, right? So it's also that way. We don't know each other. That's the whole thing. When you're building a relationship or friendship, you don't know each other. So you just ask the questions. Who are you? What's your background? Like, just a little something. And then in the beginning, some people are very transparent, or other people, like myself, are more, I take my time because I don't believe all my business needs to be out there for people. And I don't know if I can trust people with that. So there's different personalities.
And then there's people that are, I'm shy, I don't like to show myself on camera. Then my fellowship probably isn't going to be a good place for you because I want people to show their video. I want to see their faces. Because we're talking about the art of communication.
Body language.
Okay? I want to be able to see body language. I want to see facial expressions. I want to see how you react to things that I say or something that somebody else says, right? My wife was just bringing up an example before we got on, right? I love you.
Yeah, I can say on the phone. Like if I call him and I'm like, I love you, babe.
You, yeah.
And do that behind the scenes because I'm mad or something. Right? He won't know.
What is my face saying? Right? My voice might sound... I love you. You see the tone of voice, right? I'm upset by my tone of voice. You won't get that in a text message.
Yeah.
If I say I love you in a text message, I love you, woman. Okay, I love you. Smiley face. I'm putting a smiley face, but I'm upset. You can't get away with that unless you're really pretending. Which is being hypocritical, okay, which you will be found out at some point. Your hypocrisy will eventually find you out. Your sin will find you out. That's what the scripture says. All right? But I want to go to an example of like an offense. Okay, I'm going to go to a literal example of an offense. So a disagreement arises. Okay? It's going to happen no matter what assembly you're part of. A disagreement is going to arise. Okay? And... you can either, so art of communication, how do you do it face to face? I believe the proper way to do it is to be respectful, not use any slandering, not to use any degrading words, not to judge a person's spiritual walk. You don't got to bring any of those things in. I would like to stick to the facts, but having equal time to speak, not speaking over each other, okay? Matter of fact, I'm going to backtrack a little bit because the goal is to get to face-to-face interaction. I want to talk about what we need to get away from. Facebook.
Thank you. That's what I was going
to say. Let's go to Facebook.
Yeah, because you talk about
a post is made. Yeah. Somebody posts something on Facebook that you disagree with, or you find something within that post. There might be 10 things you agree with, but that one thing gets under your skin. What do? What's your first reaction?
You might comment.
Okay. Your disagreement.
Or you might be shysty, what I call shysty, and you post something against it, and you're doing, what do you call it? You're trying to be, not elusive, but passive aggressive, right? So you post something on the other side in hopes that someone is seeing it or And at this point, I'm talking about when you guys know that there's agreement, though, and now little shots are taken, little shots. Okay, but you comment. Let's go with the comments.
I believe that disagreeing at this point in my walk, I believe that disagreeing via social media is absolutely a waste of time. I have done a lot. I have been on the other side of the fence where I'm like, I think you're stupid for saying that. That's what I used to literally say before. I used to be like, yo, you're completely dumb. Social media is a great platform to debate. I literally used to say that.
And he would chew people's head off.
And I would chew people's head off. Like, if you don't like it, go somewhere else. But I have come to the conclusion that it is not fruitful. It depends how you do it, but I'd rather not even get into that right now, because the best thing to do is to contact the person personally to try to have at least a phone conversation, or set up a meeting where you can meet face to face. Online, there are limitless ways we can see face to face. Facebook Messenger, you could do Google Hangouts. Anything like that, unless you're one of those guys that's trying to live, off of technology, then I can't help you. I don't know what you're doing watching this YouTube video, because you're hypocritically going against your own conscience. Okay?
But real quick, with that,
get with the times.
There's a minority. I believe, again, in my own little bubble of experience, again, a minority of people who understand and know how to dialogue via written communication, can present points. But it takes two people to be able to, because what happens when comments are made, people are not looking at the comments. They're brushing over it. You already have your point, so you're just saying, but this. So people are not actually actively engaging with what's being written. A minority of people know how to do that. A minority of people know how to properly have email communication and convey through the right words, through the right tenses and all this stuff, to be able to express how they feel. Now, at the end of the day, I still believe that that conversation needs to be held so that you can at least hear the person at bare minimum. Because most people can't.
I haven't seen any successful dialogues take place where somebody's like, oh, wow, thank you for sharing that with me. Haven't seen it, okay? I'd rather, because there's no mediator, there's nobody to mediate on online comment section. Nobody's able to control or filter and say, all right, hold on, are you listening and actively listening to what the other person is saying? It's chaos. The more people that are involved, it's even worse. Okay? So the problem with texting and using social media is that you can't read body language, tone of voice. You can't see if a person's smiling. Right? Me personally, I smile. Sometimes it's a defense mechanism. Right? It's a way that I try to keep myself relaxed so that I don't get furious, depending on the topic, right? I try to laugh, like, are you serious? Like, yo, come on, man. Like, I do that. That is a defense mechanism for me to try to stay calm, stay relaxed in a situation. If the other person starts laughing with me, then, we start laughing back and forth, and we start, we'll slice each other up. I'm not afraid to get passionate, and I'm not afraid somebody to get passionate with me. Okay? But it doesn't work. I would use Facebook texting as a bait. Use it as bait to invite one another to actually have an actual dialogue, either audibly over the phone or face to face.
Whether that's video or actually in
right.
person.
Either over the phone or on video.
Because another part of this, right, within fellowships is a lot of people don't build relationships. But I'll speak for myself, right? I'm very bad at building relationships outside of fellowship time. That's something I recognize. That's something I'm trying to get better at. That's something I had to and go through my own background and personality and all the things that I had to get through, right? But what happens is, because, let's say I offend a sister offends me, and we're going through text messaging or going through Facebook or whatever it is, but it's typing. It's not actually hearing the person. Because I haven't developed that relationship, and it can still falter if you do build it. But nevertheless, I'm talking about when you don't build a relationship, I don't know the person's personality as much. They don't know mine. So they might be a sarcastic person in general. They might just be sarcastic, and that's just the way they get through life. That's just them. But when I read their sarcasm, I'm like, what the heck, and then I get more offended because I'm just reading it. And so now great point. I had sent my husband a picture a few weeks ago or something like that. And his response was just, I was taken aback by the response. And I didn't realize that what I had sent came up scrambled. So when I'm looking at the response, because I saw what I had sent, and I'm like,
she was expecting more of
a polite conversation and stuff like that, like a better response, positive response. And then I'm looking
engaged, excited about
what was said and everything like that. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, what in the world? And I got mad and I got offended. I did. So when he came home, I was already upset, and I know I needed my cool down. There was a wall up, right? And then eventually, I knew I had to speak about it, but I knew I needed my cool down time at the same time, right? So eventually,
did I bring it up?
No, I brought it up. Mm-hmm. Eventually that night, I asked, why did you respond this way? And then he showed me how the text came through, and it was distorted. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I showed what I actually had sent. But I had assumed that he got the way I sent it, and that's not the case. And that's between a husband and a wife, you know what I'm saying? And I'm all like...
The depravity of our human nature.
But that goes the same way with, going and texting and stuff like that. You can't necessarily fully read. Sometimes you have to read between the lines, and sometimes you can't. And so more offenses come up because you can't actually hear each other. And sometimes you're not at the point where you're actually trying to hear one another. You're just trying to get your point out. Yep. But this, I don't care what you say.
You're not in a discussion mode.
You're not in that mode. You're just, I'm going to
You're in
vomit.
Preaching mode.
And vomit out my information and vomit out my concern, blah, blah, blah. And it goes nowhere. And so now what happens? More arises pop up. And there's more things you have to go through, more things you have to filter through, more things you have to heal from and stuff.
Ever try to get two pastors or two elders in the same room to try to discuss a doctrine? Not easy. Because they are extremely confident. They're teachers and they are confident in what they believe. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be a lot of passion in that room. Mm-hmm. Okay? But use texting and social media as bait to invite one another to actually dialogue person to person about the matter. Okay? And when you do that, set some ground rules, okay? Especially for those of y'all who don't know each other. Some of y'all talking to people on Facebook you ain't never meet. You're just friending anybody that has Yahuwah and Yahusha. You have no idea who these people are. You have no idea how many bridges they've burned. You have no idea how much backstabbing they've done to people, how much gossip they've done, okay?
Or you don't know. Them. Or they've received it.
Or they've received it.
And so their defenses that goes back to personalities and backgrounds. Yep. Because people don't come with just a conversation. They come with the whole baggage of stuff. They come
baggage.
How they perceive things, how they've handled things in the past, right? So that's something we have to go through.
But having ground rules. It's good. I made this rule up this weekend. I made this new rule for our fellowship, especially on Shabbat. But whenever we gather for a particular, right, we're gathering for a study. There's something on the agenda, but we also have open discussion time. If a disagreement arises during our open discussion time, the person that brought up the topic cannot get the last word. And if that person brings up a topic, he brings up a doctrine, and then somebody says, I disagree, and they, explain why. Somebody needs to identify and said, we just had a disagreement. Somebody has to identify it. If not the two people involved, but anybody. We just had a disagreement. So we know what that means. We should probably schedule a time outside of today to discuss this matter and choose a mediator that will mediate the conversation to make sure that people are have equal time to talk, whether it's 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever the case might be, right? Making sure that they're hearing each other. Okay, now let's practice. Summarize what that person just said. You need somebody to coach through this. I think, like my wife was saying, if you know how to do this, you won't need a mediator. Mm-hmm. But I feel like we live in a generation that sucks at this.
And the fact is, because a lot of us use social media, people can simply delete, block, hang up,
By the push of a button, we could just say,
and that's
bye.
it. And we've seen people that have done that in the past, over past couple years, and it's just like, how do you learn to thrive in a fellowship? How do you learn to be unified? How do you learn to actually get through those moments? Because it's one thing when everything's hunky-dory and you guys all
agree on everything.
That's awesome. Those are awesome feelings. But then you can feel the tension when, someone's against my conviction or someone's against my stance. And again, there's different personalities. Like some people just can't deal with confrontation. But we have to learn how to.
Right.
Because we have to grow through that. We can, how are we going to persuade people to the gospel, right? One of the most offensive messages to many people, especially to those who are perishing, it's a stench to them if we cannot dialogue with each other, right? Mm-hmm. So you have mentioned this aspect of once we get past the social media. So our first point is get past the texting, get past the emailing, get past the.
If you disagree with somebody on social media, do not comment. Don't publicly comment. It's better that you reach out to them personally, inbox them. I'm giving you etiquette, something that's gonna help.
What's that sound?
I think that's outside.
Oh, okay.
Something that's gonna help your relationship with that person, or maybe even begin a relationship with that person, because you might be getting ready to comment on somebody's page you never commented on before.
I've done that before. I made that mistake.
I'm telling you, it just doesn't. It's not fruitful. Okay. Now some people don't care about it.
It's the background. Something playing in our background. Sorry.
Okay, it's the volume here. All right. Some people don't care. Some people don't care about how many comments there are on the page. Some people love it. Some people feed into it. Love to argue online. I'm letting you know there's a better way. Mm-hmm. There is a better way. Let's get back to the way it used to be before we had cell phones and Facebook. Mm-hmm. Let's start being human beings towards one another. Okay, Facebook is great. Social media is cool. YouTube is great. All these things are great tools on reaching people. But we're not using it wisely if we're just keeping it at social media and texting. Mm-hmm. We are not properly using it the way it should be used, which is to connect with one another. We should be using these things to get together and build relationships and call each other, contact each other, see each other face to face. Right? If you live in my area, let's hook up at a Panera Bread or a local, fast food place or something and sit down with one another face to face and talk. Mm-hmm. We've lost that.
Yeah.
And we need to get that back, especially in the body of Messiah. I am embarrassed sometimes to be associated with people that call themselves Israelites. Messianic, whatever the case might be, they don't like to dialogue. They don't like to discuss. They don't like to debate. They don't do it. The first step is at least to attempt it. That's my first step, okay? I'm not saying you need to have it all down packed, but the first step is at least to come and sit down. Let's talk. That's the first step, okay? Learning how to talk and how to disagree.
Take time.
Okay? It's not just talking. We're talking about disagreeing here, right? That's the point of this video. It's about disagreeing. How do you disagree with another person? Mm-hmm. It's not what you disagree about, but sometimes it's about how you disagree. Mm-hmm. Makes all the world of a difference, right? So our first step, though, is to get off of texting and social media and start getting more audible phone so you can hear my voice. That's a good first step. But take it a step further, face-to-face, video to video. The ultimate goal is face-to-face, human, no cameras around.
So that's part 2. So now once you get past that, right? When you recognize an offense, you recognize a disagreement, you're like, we set this thing up, right?
Yep.
And now we're going to talk.
And don't get mad if people can't. If they're busy, if they're scheduled, don't get offended.
Yeah.
Don't get offended.
And that brings to the point, cool down periods. Let me talk about that for a second. Sometimes people... And this goes for at any point in the stage, at any point in the stages. Sometimes people need to cool down for a second. They just need to take a break. You riled them up, or you yourself are riled up. You need to be able to take note of that. So I looking retrospectively, there have been times where we've set up meetings prematurely when emotions are too high. And so when the emotions are too high, now sobriety goes out the window because I'm not trying to think intellectually. I'm not recognizing that you're a brother or sister. I'm under attack mode and under defense. I'm on the defense, offense. I'm on both sides, on the sideline. I'm everywhere.
That's where a mediator is important.
Either way, yes.
A mediator makes that call.
Yes.
Guys, it's too hot right now.
Yeah.
Let's cool off and come back another day to address this issue, right? But if there's no mediator, it's a free-for-all. Yeah, and you're speaking over each other. You're passionate, right? It's disorganized. I've been there a lot because I love debating. I love to debate people. I'm ready to go, you know, depending on the topic, right? There's some topic. If I'm not familiar with the topic, I'm not interested, you know?
But sometimes beforehand, you might recognize, okay, I'm not ready to meet yet.
It's okay to say that.
But I'm willing.
It's okay to say that.
There is a difference between recognizing that you're not ready yet and not being willing. And specifically, I'm talking to brothers and sisters, okay? I'm talking about there's an offense within the body that's not to be taken lightly, okay? There's a difference between saying, I'm not ready, I'm offended, I'm hurt, I'm upset, I need some time, I need to cool off, fine. Versus I'm not willing to reconcile. I'm not willing to discuss. I'm not willing to talk. I'm not willing to have a heart-to-heart with a brother and sister. That's not,
words that should never come out from a believer's mouth.
I think that's very dangerous, and I don't take that lightly. So there is a difference because we have to recognize people need to be able to just take a breather, and it's okay. But now that we've gotten past that, you've gotten past the social media, you've gotten past that cool down time,
right.
or you didn't need a cool down time. You're saying, I'm ready. Let's have this. Because some people are like, no, I need to get this out off my chest. Let's talk about it. You're now on the phone, or I prefer video so that you can see body language. It makes a difference because sometimes you can just really see someone's heart in their face, and you know, but so much. I mean, you're dealing with social media as well.
And not like this either, okay? Yeah. Okay. Shalom. Hi. Like that's telling me something. I don't know about you, but this communicates something to me. It tells me either you're ashamed about something, you're trying to hide something, or you don't know how to use technology. Okay? But, you know, the point is for me to see your beautiful face. I want to see your face. I don't get to see many brothers and sisters. I get to see your face. We get to laugh and smile. You know?
So
now, or in this occasion, we have a disagreement with one another. So it might not be such a smiling matter, but
come on, later.
Hopefully it will be.
But whether there's a mediator or not, let's talk about something called active listening.
Oh, active listening. Come on.
I do this.
This is good, man. There's people that pay a lot of money to hear what you're about to hear right now, y'all.
So there's a difference between if my husband's talking, right, and all I'm thinking about is my response, or all I'm thinking is about what I already want to say ahead of time, right? That's not actively listening. I'm hearing what he's saying, but I'm not engaging what he's saying. Active listen is he says something, and now I'm going to relay it. So this is what you are telling me. And then that person could say, let's think of an example.
My wife does this to me often.
I do.
And many times I have to change what I said because I'm like, all right, no, that came out wrong. All right. You know?
Because I have, and the reason, can we give it an actual example?
I don't know. Go ahead. There's tons of examples.
I know, but like I actually want to do this real quick because it's like, it makes sense. Like, I can't think of the right one on this.
We're talking about active listening, so let's do it about active listening.
Okay, I don't.
Go ahead.
Okay, but it's
what you just said right now. You said that it is important. So what you just said that is active listening means that when a person speaks, you actually repeat what they said and you ask them, okay, so what you're saying is, and when you repeat it, you're checking in with that person to see if they understood what you said.
Correct.
Is that correct?
And that's part of it. So because what'll happen?
What I just did was called active listening.
Yeah.
I'm asking Milo, did I hear you correctly?
Now hear me incorrectly.
Okay. So what you're saying is that active listening is when I tell you that I hear what you're saying, I heard you, and then I go on and I start saying what I get to say, right?
No.
Why not? I thought that's what you said. No. You just want to hear me say, I hear what you're saying. You want to hear what I'm saying, right?
I want to hear what you're saying, but no, you did not hear me correct.
All right, what did you say?
And what I said was, if you're going to actively listen, you're going to repeat what I said to make sure that you understood what I said.
Oh, you said you want me to repeat what you said?
Yes.
Not just say, I heard you.
Correct.
Got you.
Now, why do we do that? Because I already have offenses. I already have walls up. I already have the way I'm thinking about something. And I can misconstrue what you're saying. And sometimes it's very simple, as the person that's trying to communicate doesn't know how to communicate well, doesn't know how to express what they're trying to say. So when this person...
I'm not lying, yo. We got a lot of this going on in this generation right now with this Facebook stuff. And
yeah, so when he does active listening, it reassures me you're actually hearing and you understood. There's two things, comprehension and hearing. So you heard me and you comprehended what I was trying to say. Now I know, okay, we're at least on the same page with that. Whether you agree or disagree, you heard what I meant.
It doesn't matter whether you agree or disagree.
Yeah, but you heard what I was trying to say and how I tried to convey it. Now, if we can't get past that, you have to now, you as the person that made the point, whatever point it was, figure out how to recommunicate. Okay, no, especially when it comes to marriages and stuff like that. No, I'm not saying I don't love you. I'm saying I don't appreciate when you do this. Oh, but you're saying you don't love me? No. That's not even what came out of my mouth, okay? I love you. There, okay? But what I'm trying to say is when you do this, I feel underappreciated. I get saddened because it reminds me of whatever, blah, blah, blah. So that's part of active listening. You want to engage one another. You're not just thinking about how you can respond and stuff like that. There's time for that. You want to make sure that you're actually getting your message across because nobody wants to talk and not feel like they're heard. And that's what happens. I made my points on social media or I said what I said and you're not hearing me. And that's where part of this frustration comes from because I feel like I'm not being heard. I'm not being validated. Mm-hmm. When people don't feel validated, that brings on a whole bunch of stuff.
I don't like when people are not hearing what I'm saying.
Oh yeah,
I feel like I'm wasting you're wasting my time. Yeah. My time is valuable.
Yeah,
I just sat here. Like, I sat here and talked for 3 minutes straight, and you didn't understand anything that I just said.
Yeah. Right. So, but that's part of it is active.
Active listening is good. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about cognitive distortions.
Stinking thinking, he always said. Okay. Thinking.
All right, I learned this term in college.
Yeah, he uses it in here.
Cognitive distortions. I talk about it all the time. Or stinking thinking for younger people or whatever. Yeah, you can teach this to kids.
Yeah.
All right, but there's different types of stinking thinking. Mm-hmm. Okay, when somebody's talking, when you exaggerate something that they said, you blow something out of proportion.
You always. You never.
Yep. Or no, that's a different one, actually. That's a different category.
Oh, that's exactly
using words like always or never. Oh. Okay? Using those words, okay, are not productive in conversation, okay? But exaggerating would be taking a situation and making it a lot worse than what it is. For example, I'll give you an example. I'm going to try to stick with something currently that just happened. Somebody asked me to watch a video regarding Thanksgiving. Okay? I watch the video just like they told me to. And I respond, I said, I watched the video, there were no sources to it. It doesn't make sense to me. The narrative that they're sharing doesn't make sense to me, and there were no sources to it, so there was nothing for me there. The response I get is, that's horrible. You didn't even bother to look at sources, to read the diaries of the pilgrims, and it shows how how quickly you're deceived, and you could deceive me. You see, this person took something small and now characterized my entire character based upon instructions that I followed that she gave me. She did not instruct me to do all the extra research. The video didn't talk about any of that. So there was nothing more than that video for me to watch. But what that person did was they took my response and blew it out of proportion. Now because I didn't agree or because I said there weren't any sources, now I'm judged as somebody that doesn't look for sources because I didn't take it upon myself to look for the sources outside of that video. You see what I'm saying? That's taking it way out of proportion.
Now going backwards, this is again via written communication,
and that's texting,
so
which is bad. And which, by the way, this particular person I was saying, and I don't mean to call this person. I'm not trying to call this person out. This is no offense to them. I'm not trying to. I'm just giving an example because this is a real life example, and it's fresh on my mind. But I invited this person to talk about this. As a matter of fact, that it was one text. My one text was just my response to the video. But I invited this person to a meeting so we can discuss this matter further. I didn't bother feeding into her exaggerated text towards me. My response to her exaggerated text was, I look forward to meeting with you on Sunday. Are we still good? You know what I'm saying? You see how I'm not feeding into the negativity. I'm not feeding into the judgmental spirit. I'm not feeding into the cognitive distortions, the exaggeration that was just done. I want to meet with this person so that she's not misreading me. I'm not misunderstanding her. Okay. She assumed that she was clear about something, but I wasn't clear. Okay. So that's where the text message and the phone gets put down, technology gets put down, and we talk to each other face to face so we can be 100% clear. Is there something else that you wanted me to see? Because I didn't see that in the text.
Yeah, and this is where that active listening comes into play, because you can go through these distortions that people have when they respond to you and you hear their response and you're able to clarify and say, no, that's not what I meant. We had someone else where, we invited to something.
They feel disrespected now because I didn't see any sources in the video that they sent me. So now they feel disrespected, like their views, their beliefs are not respected. That's an exaggeration. What just happened there is called a cognitive distortion. This is horrible and ineffective in building and sustaining relationships. It's not good. It's not good in a marriage. It's not good in just friend relationships. No matter what, your boss, you can't exaggerate. So we're on exaggerating,
the point of
right?
Ask for clarity, right? And these are the things that you can get when you actually talk to somebody and you have meetings and stuff like that. The other part was the always and the no.
Yeah, always and never.
I was about to say.
She catches me. I do this often. Yeah, I use always and never a lot.
I'm like, no, it's not always.
Like, yes, it is.
It's no
99% of the time. That's always.
That's not always. I have 0.1 on me.
It's 1%. If there's 1% that I don't do it, it's not always. Case in point, you win. Dang it. I'm just emotional. That's why I'm saying always, because I'm upset. Yeah. Right? But it's not good, though. Because what I do by saying always and never is I'm putting fuel in the fire of our argument and our enmity with one another for the moment. And it's not helping.
It leads into cognitive distortion.
Yep, it leads into.
Because now, all these negative times that have occurred are built up and they come back to remembrance. And
where are my keys, woman? You always move them!
Yeah, I do actually pretty much always move.
Oh, I got one. But she moves them to the right place most of the time.
Call them in the home.
She doesn't move them to random places. I'm the one that moves my keys and throws them wherever.
I say hide and seek. Right? No, I don't play hide and seek.
Where are my keys?
Scavenger hunt with them.
They're in their home, honey.
That's literally what I say. They're in their home. That means go check.
I'm the one that be throwing keys wherever. On the stairs, so I can get it on my way out.
Yeah. So, okay, but now we're in this midst of this conversation, and we're doing active listening, whether it's with the mediator or if I'm mature enough without a mediator. Something that is important to bring all parties that are involved. That's another aspect, right? So, before going to other people and gossiping or slander, whatever it is, you want to bring the people that are actually involved within the offenses, right? If it's amongst the fellowship, then it's amongst the fellowship. If it's amongst one or two, then it's amongst one or two. So that goes into that Matthew 18. Like if you feel offended by a brother or sister, then that needs to be made known and you guys try to reconcile, you guys try to work out. If you can't, then you got to bring in another brother or sister. That doesn't work, you bring it to fellowship. So it all depends on how this played out. Since a lot of stuff plays out.
And if you don't meet, then guess what? Now we can bring it to the assembly. Because especially if you leave, because this is what tends to happen. People get offended. There's a disagreement. They don't want to talk about it. And they say bye. So what's my responsibility as a leader now? My responsibility is to address the assembly. A guest or a member that we just had in this assembly just left, and I'm showing you my text messages that I invited them to a meeting to address this, and they refused. So I'm not judged as, oh, D's kicking people out without letting them talk to anybody. Okay, I used to do that. I used to be part of that in Christianity. I hated that. I hated leaving churches and not being able to talk to people that I loved, right? So I don't believe in that. I believe that if you're going to exit or be excommunicated, at least you should be heard. Okay, people need to hear why you're leaving. Okay, and you can disagree with me. You can debate. It could be a debate. Your exit out from leaving my assembly could be a debate. This is why I disagree with Brother D on this issue. Here's my scripture. Boom, 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 boom. Right? We disagree, and we can't move forward. If we can't move forward one another, thank you for coming. Thank you for having this meeting. And if 5 people want to follow you, so be it. Okay? I'm not responsible. Okay? If they want to follow you, let them follow you. Hopefully, I did a good job in trying to defend the truth. If I didn't, then I'm going to be held responsible for that. But if 5 people want to follow you in leaving my assembly, so be it. At least I gave you the opportunity to speak. Okay? But if you refuse to even come and speak, now I have to address the assembly and let them know. And that's not gossip. It's proper order. It's accountability. We're a family, so people need to know what's going on.
Yeah. And another thing...
I got my dog down in the steps, so we got to cut this short. My dog's got to go for a walk.
Just one more thought that I have real quick was this idea of housing offenses, right? So what I've also noticed is people tend to house offenses. They won't say anything, and then you have the what is it called? The something on the camel's back?
Straw
on the camel's back. That last straw that breaks it down.
Back, yeah.
We have to be able to check ourselves and say if there's offenses or if there's red flags that we're feeling, if we don't bring that up to one another, okay? And quote unquote want to spiritualize it. I've just been praying about it. I'm just waiting for all the signs. But if we don't actually buying time to just try to reap up all these negative things that we see or whatever, that's not helping build the community. It's not helping build the body. It's actually hurting the body and yourself. Because we cannot read each other's minds. You know what I'm saying? We cannot. I mean, unless Yahuwah himself gives us a prophet that's able to do so. But we cannot read each other's minds. And like I said, we're but on so much time do we interact, and it's on a screen, right? So when you're having these social media interactions, even on Zoom, even on Skype, even on Marco Polo, you're not seeing people for the 90% of their life. You're seeing people for that 10% that they're on, right? So you don't know what's going on behind the screen. You don't know behind the scene. You don't know if they're hurting. You don't know if they've gone through something, if they're dealing with something, if they have their own offenses, their own issues. And now this topples on. So we have to be able that the whole portion of it is communicate and be willing to reconcile. Be willing to reconcile, especially when it comes to brothers and sisters. If you're not willing, I believe you need to check yourself, and this is for all brothers and sisters, myself included. I have to go through these thoughts when I have brothers and sisters that I'm offended by and say, am I willing to reconcile? If not, I need to go before Yah, so. Allow
the person to bring context. You want to go back as far as you can, you right? Because you want to get to the root of the problem, right? You want to get the whole story. So I've been part of a meeting where I'm being accused of something and I'm brought to a meeting, I'm put on the stand, but I'm not allowed to bring context for why I behaved the way I did.
Literally told you cannot.
The whole assembly was told, we're not going to discuss anything that happened prior to this day.
Who does that?
Who does that? How wicked. I believe that's wicked.
I agree.
Okay, I believe that's super wicked. When you're trying to come to reason with one another, we should be trying to speak about the whole matter. Okay? Why I behaved the way I did. Why I did that. Okay? What else I was holding? What else? It's not just this one issue, okay? It's
that straw, but there's all this,
Right.
And if we don't talk, we don't know about it.
Again, but that's where a good mediator comes into play. You got to have a good unbiased middle person to kind of just keep things cool, And if things are not cool, then we reschedule. We pray, right? We pray on it.
Yeah.
And but don't say bye to people. Don't burn bridges over a difference in a doctrine that you haven't even had a chance to have a good dialogue with. I think that's That's not courageous. That's cowardly. It's weak, and it's not edifying. It's not edifying. So anyway, there's a lot more we could talk about, but I gotta walk my dog. She ran down the steps. But that's for the most part. If you guys want to look it up, look up online. What are cognitive distortions? Jumping to conclusions. Okay, that's bad. That comes often. Jumping to conclusions. Oh, so what you trying to say? Don't imagine what a person's trying to say. Listen to what they're saying. Okay, and take that in and deal with one thing at a time. You know, Another thing in conversation. Don't bring up 10 different points at once. I hate that. I hate when we're trying to have a conversation and you're jumping from one place and you're going to another place and then you're going to another place and then when it's my turn to talk, I gotta go back to point number one. Doesn't make any sense. I go, stop right there, stop. Before you go into something else, I'd like to address what you just brought up. People hate when I do that. They think I'm being rude, but I'm trying to save myself from forgetting some of the stuff that you're saying, and missing stuff, and then you having to repeat yourself. One thing at a time. One offense at a time. Okay? One offense at a time so we can clear the air. All right? You're reading me wrong. You misunderstood me, and your offense is invalid. And then that's opportunity for you to say, I'm sorry. My bad. Okay, we're good. What's the next point? Because I want to get over this. We need to get back to regular fellowship. Anyway, I love y'all. I hope you found this helpful. Let's get back to being human. Get off of Facebook. The text messaging to a minimum. Use it as bait to connect with people. Exchange phone numbers. Zoom, Messenger, video chats, and all that stuff. All right, so you can talk to each other face to face. Love you. Shalom. Bye.